Good evening. This is Life Mastery TV Live. I'm your host, Terrence Perry, and we are talking about the national. This is National Recovery Month, and we'll be talking about the opioid epidemic that's going on in America today. I'm gonna jump right into it because I'm running a little behind with the panel that we had today. I want to introduce the panel. To my left is to your right, and beside me is Sabrina Briscoe. And I'll introduce yourself in a minute. And also there's Adrian Smith and Elliot Palmer Jr., the man with the master plan. And of course, our studio producer, Lorinda, hiding in the corner. But listen, I want to just give everybody a chance quickly to introduce themselves. Start with Sabrina, give us a little bit more detail on you. And once we get to you, Elliot, I want you to kind of just share a little more than just introduce yourself and talk about the program that you are implementing right now with a couple other organizations. All right.
My name is Sabrina Briscoe. I have a bachelor's and a master's from North Carolina Central here in the Durham area. I've been a social worker for 2 years, but before that I had a background in the criminal justice system in Washington, D.C. and in family law.
My name is Adrian Schmidt, and I'm a licensed clinical addiction specialist associate. And I currently work in the mental health and substance abuse field for the past 8 years. And currently what I do is run a private practice where I focus on helping individuals integrate holistic health into their recovery.
Okay. And my name is Elliot Palmer. I am a long-term resident of Raleigh. I am a peer support specialist. What a peer support specialist is, an individual that has lived experience, that is certified to work with individuals dealing with mental health or substance use issues. I also am a trainer to train individuals to become peer support specialists, working for an agency called NC Hope. The Hope standing for Helping Our Peers Excel. In addition, I am a certified RAP facilitator, Wellness Recovery Action Plan, certified by the Mariana Copeland Center, helping individuals to promote, keep and maintain their own wellness. In addition, a first aid CPR instructor with the American Heart Association, and a new appointee of the City of Raleigh Substance Abuse Advisory Commission. Well, I want to talk to you about Terrence. Hello, ladies. Thank you all for having me, Terrence. We're talking about the opioid epidemic and the crisis going on. And right now, the big concern is we have so many substance abuse users out here dying. Our community is dying, and it's a real issue. It's a real crisis. Not only are people ruining their lives, but they're also ending their lives. And that's the big issue today. In peer support work, it's been found that peer support is so valuable, and having an individual work with people, substance abusers, people with mental health issues. It's so valuable having someone there that can relate to you from a been there, done that point of view. Not only can I understand what you're saying or what you're feeling, but I'm able to let a person know what I did to get through it. I am a person in long-term recovery also, so I can let individuals know what I did, in order to get my life back, in order to get back to become a productive member of society. In the peer support training offered by NC Hope, peer support, one requirement for peer support is to have lived experience with substance abuse and or mental health issues and at least be a year in recovery. So now not only are people being trained to work and help individuals, especially with this opioid epidemic going on, being able to go out and help people stop the substance abuse and help them identify and engage in relapse prevention programs, treatment programs, but also the long-term goal is for these individuals not only turn themselves around and get into recovery, but become peer support specialists themselves. And that way you're able to help reach back and help the community. The other program you heard me mention, RAP, Wellness Recovery Action Plan, is given by a company called Answer. Answer stands for New Start Long-Term Recovery. And what the RAP does, it helps in the Wellness Recovery Action Plan because who's concerned with their wellness in this world? Everybody, right? So that's good for everybody. Not only, it doesn't say substance abuse recovery action plan, it doesn't say mental health recovery action plan, it doesn't say diabetic recovery action plan, weight loss recovery action plan, these children getting on my nerves recovery action plan. It doesn't say any of that. But it's good for all of that. So that's why and that is my passion, to be able to present and provide the RAP program, provide individuals out here experiencing the opioid crisis with a plan to maintain their wellness. So they don't have to continue going through the things they're going. It helps a person to identify the triggers, identify their early warning signs, and then identify those times when things are breaking down, when the situation's gotten much worse and it's time to call for help. And provide with them with a plan to do these things. Because we know when we're out here, if we have a plan, half the battle's already won. And so right now, getting involved with Life Mastery, getting involved with NC Hope, peer support training, being involved with the City of Raleigh Substance Abuse Advisory Commission. My goal in life is to spread wellness and recovery and let people know that there is help out here. There is an alternative. You don't have to continue living the way you live.
Let me ask you just while you're, just to talk about the wellness recovery in and of itself, but have you talked with opioid users in terms of when we break down the opioid use, when we're talking about Oxycontin, Percocet, heroin, and that, have you in your training and whatnot talked with those users in particular? I know a lot of times we talk. I know I've talked with a lot of people with cocaine use and alcohol abuse, but I don't know necessarily a lot of opioid users per se. But
Good question, Terrence. Unfortunately, with my experience in substance abuse, a person may start with alcohol, or start with marijuana, or start with crack cocaine. And really the issue isn't the substance, it's the wanting to feel different. The way they cope with their everyday problems and issues, whether they be good or bad. And now it seems the trend is being toward cocaine costs X amount of dollars. So now you're seeing a lot more people being exposed to prescription drugs, the opioids and whatnot. And they're easily accessible. You get prescriptions for these things. And people are taking them and not realizing what damage and what's going on. Right now, I was at an opioid conference, state opioid conference, and you used to hear about people ODing off, overdosing off cocaine and heroin. Right now, the major criminal, the major attacker of everything is fentanyl. You got fentanyl. Then after fentanyl, you've got the amphetamines, not amphetamines, or barbiturates, whatnot. But just to show you, you've got the opioids after that following, to show you the gravity of this crisis. Fentanyl is 50 times more powerful than morphine. Okay? So fentanyl is taking on the #1 killer here in North Carolina, #1 cause of overdose in North Carolina. And just to show you how bad it is, heroin is taking a back seat. Heroin is now down to #3 cause of overdose in North Carolina. Then followed by cocaine. So if that gives you any perspective of the gravity of the how bad the situation has become with the opioids. Because opioids are not just heroin.
Right.
You got all these derivatives of it.
Right.
As you said, the Percocets, the Oxycontins.
And the other thing too, when we're talking about opioids, we're not talking. When we've talked about cocaine and crack in the past, that was they try to make that a black thing. But when we're talking about opioids, from When you're talking about thousands, millions of people that are overdosing, we're not talking about blacks. They're talking about there's more Caucasians and that's involved in the opioid use. That's why it's an epidemic, because it's spread all over America in the depths of, not based on race or economic, your economic level. As high as you go economically or as low as you go, people are abusing prescription medications. And prescription medications usually, it happens in two ways. The pharmaceutical companies supplying the doctors, and the doctors write the prescriptions, but most of the people that are going to doctors and using opioids were Caucasian for the most part. Not that blacks don't, but people that are, we say, in pain, using the opioids. But see, this ain't new. This opioid epidemic happened. There was a wave of it after World War II. Right. Then in the late 60s, early 70s, there was a big wave of opioid use and heroin, that combination. And now here we go again. So why does America keep falling back into the same epidemic, that same trap with opioids? Because opioids, this is the third wave of the kind of epidemic across America since the 1920s, 30s.
Yeah. Well, Terrence, I agree with you. There was a time when, if we go back to the 50s and 60s, you had that movie come out with Reefer Madness. And marijuana was thought to be an epidemic, and the country was going crazy. Followed with that, we had the influx of heroin and whatnot with the Vietnam War. Following that, we had the recent cocaine crisis, and we had a cocaine and crack epidemic. Okay, now you're seeing this push and this talk about the opioid epidemic. And a lot of people, and this is just my personal opinion, a lot of people saying, okay, well now they want to, call it opioid epidemic because you're seeing more whites involved in it, and it's affecting more whites. And the thing that we want to stop, get away from, or I would like to see the community get away from, is getting away from putting the racial issue on it. Yes, okay, it may be that now the opioids are affecting more of our white community, and it's not just in the minorities. It's affecting the white community now, but I'm grateful for that, because now, whether it be because it's black or white or whatever, there's more awareness. And people are recognizing more so that there is an epidemic. It's not just where there's something going on in the black community. It's an epidemic. People are dying. Even to the extent, in my car right now, I have the Narcan, syringes. But just in case I'm working with someone that is overdosed. The community, the world's gotten to a point now that you have to carry around some antidote for overdose in your car. That shows you the gravity of the situation. That shows you where we are today. And programs such as the RAP, the Wellness Recovery Action Plan that I offer, it provides these people with a plan. So that a lot of people turn to drug use and substance use as an alternative for recreation, as an alternative answer for solving life issues, dealing with depression, anxiety, just dealing with coping with life in general. And the RAP plan provides it with an alternative. Right. Provides a way to stay clean, to deal with life, to deal with any issue in life without the use of drugs, and in a healthy manner. These programs, some people ask, well, how do I get in touch with these programs? How do I do these things? For peer support training, if you're interested in peer support, become a peer support specialist. And I got into it because peer support was one thing that I found. This is one area where all of my background and all of my experience doesn't count against me anymore. Now I have a career that counts in my favor. And an investment of, I think the NC Hope program offers peer support training for $365, along with the RAP. In conjunction with that, $465 total investment in my life, and I not only have a job, I have a new career. So far as people going to college and 4-year and multi-year degrees, I've been to school. My school was on the streets. That's where I obtained my education, and now I'm getting certification to be able to work and go help someone else. And ladies, I was very impressed. I heard your credentials. I just want to share a little something with you. I'll let you know I'm a PhD too. And I graduated from OCU. And if you want to know what that stands for, I'm a pole hopeless coach and graduated from On the Corner University. So that's what qualifies me to do what I do. It enables me and qualifies me to help others and help others get well too. Did I need my number? The website you can go to if you're interested in peer support, nchope.com. You can register for peer support and RAP, or if you're just interested in RAP or first aid, CPR, other issues dealing with your wellness, you can go to www.answernc.com. And love to hear from you. I wish everyone well on their wellness. Unfortunately, I do have to go.
Yeah, look, man, I appreciate you joining us today, man. I know it was short notice, but you came over anyway. And, you know, we're going to get together again. So I appreciate you coming through and just sharing that information with us. I look forward to
Thank you, sir.
back.
It's great to meet you. Pleasure to meet
We'll be
you.
in touch.
Pleasure to meet you. We'll be in touch. You all have a good day, and you all have a good day too.
You too, Elliot.
All right.
Thanks a lot. All right, so we're back with Sabrina Briscoe. She's going to share a little bit with us today, some insights. And then we also hear from Asia with some of the insights that she has from a treatment program out in Colorado. Okay, so let's do that. Sabrina.
Okay, so my perspective is from the criminal justice standpoint and also from a public policy standpoint. My experiences were in the court system in the District of Columbia and also in the state of North Carolina working with joint treatment courts, and how the focus shifts away from incarceration and jailing people for having a disease, which substance abuse is. When you look at it from a prevention standpoint and you make those resources available, people tend to do better. They don't reoffend as often if they're getting the treatment that they need, if they're being looked at as someone who has a medical issue as opposed to having a criminal issue.
Right.
You tend to see better results. And so as a social worker, my interest is in public policy, making those resources available for treatment and prevention rather than intervention. It's more cost effective and it's also more successful in terms of having recidivism rates go lower. North Carolina has 4 of the top 25 cities in the country are at the highest uses of opioid abuse. And so when you look at those statistics, you have to look at public policy, making those resources available, getting our state legislature and our local officials interested in diverting money away from incarceration and toward prevention and treatment.
How I guess how valuable is that? I mean, is that the focus more so on I guess the treatment side of it instead of the incarceration? Because I know they're building prisons left and right, and who they're trying to lock up, or a lot of times it is people that's on drugs either because along with their being addicted, they're stealing and everything that goes along with that.
Well, a lot of the criminal behavior is tied to their substance abuse.
Right.
They are doing criminal activity because they're trying to find money to support their addiction. So if you treat the addiction, the criminal behavior disappears. Or if you treat the addiction, they're not going back and forth in the cycle of jail, getting released, going back to using drugs, getting incarcerated.
Right.
So the money that they're spending in building prisons and incarceration would have a much better outcome if you used it towards prevention and treatment as opposed to incarceration.
And I know Roy Cooper did a federal grant of $31 million for the state of North Carolina to be used over a 2-year period, and he did say that 80% of that money will be used for treatment programs. So if they say 80% will be used for treatment programs, then the other 20% will be used for additional substance abuse treatment. So that is the push that they're looking at in terms of where they've allocated that much money, $31 million. So that's and then it sounds like a lot, but when you break it down, it's not. But it is a big help
It
for what
is.
you're talking about, the treatment modality of of helping, I guess, from the prevention side instead of the incarceration side, because most incarcerated individuals, you're going to spend $7,000 a month per individual that's locked up.
Right. I think the statistics that I looked at, it costs about 10 times as much to incarcerate someone as it does to provide treatment. So if you're looking for being cost effective, prevention and treatment is a much more cost effective method of using the money, which actually generates better results in the long run.
Right.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, and also the program that you spoke about in Colorado, with the treatment program. Can you tell us a little bit about how that program has been effective in in their treatment of
Yes.
the opioid epidemic? And
Opiate epidemic, as well as just the addictions in general. So it's a documentary, and I saw it on TED Talks. And the program is started in Colorado, and it's called Phoenix Multisport. And it was started by the name of a guy named his name was Scott. And he struggled. He was in and out of recovery, but he struggled with the shame and stigma associated with having an addiction. So he created this program where addicts are no longer defined by their addiction, and the program gets them involved in an active lifestyle where they're doing recreational activities such as climbing mountains, doing fitness exercises, working out, basically focusing on quality of life and understanding how sober is not just being sober from abstaining from the particular drug of choice, but also it's about integrating a better quality of life. And so what they've seen within this particular program is that 3/4 of the people who attend this program have stayed sober because they're not doing it alone. They're focusing on how they can live a better quality of life as it relates to getting a job, as it relates to feeling good about themselves, as it relates to being more confident in who they are as an individual. And as a result, they start to see a lot of people decrease in constantly engaging in relapse. Now it's important to understand that relapse is a part of recovery, but it's also important to understand how to get to the root of the issue and identify those triggers that are causing people to relapse. And when you start integrating holistic health into your programs, you start to see less individuals relapsing. Right now, we're facing a huge opiate epidemic, and I think that one of the things that we fail to realize is that we've kind of created this monster because when you talk about individuals who have been prescribed opiates for things such as physical health conditions, such as chronic pain, such as having a surgery and needing to recover from that surgery, I think there was a big gap that was missed there, and that gap was being able to educate the patients as well as their families on the potential for addiction, as well as possibly looking at all the other alternatives versus just pushing the pill. And so it's like now we've created this monster, and we're kind of having to learn how to reel it back in, and oftentimes that's with the same thing, pills such as methadone or Suboxone and whatnot, because some people are just that severe, their conditions just that severe with their addiction. But one of the things that I've been doing some research on and integrate into my private practice is holistic health, because it focuses on who you are as a person in terms of mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and that plays into your well-being. If one of these areas of your life is kind of off out of whack, it's kind of going to put the other areas out of whack as well. And so you can't treat one area of the person without looking at how to treat the whole person. And once you can begin to treat the whole person, they begin to see a better success rate at having a quality of life, because that's ultimately the goal. The goal is not just about getting them to be sober, but it's about getting them to a place where I can say I have a quality of life.
Yeah, and I think as you stated earlier, we created this monster. And part of it in saying that is there is a need for opioids in terms of, like I said, the pain to relieve pain. When a doctor prescribes you medication for whether you're having a baby and have to have an epidural in your back, to you may be having some type of surgery, opioids and so forth is needed for that. But we're talking about the abuse of those opioids, where it may have started out being one thing, but then we got into now abusing that prescription and abusing those pills, and then the pills and the painkillers become street drugs. Everybody wants them. Everybody in the streets is trying to buy painkillers, Oxycontin, Percocets, and so it has gotten way out of hand, and people, because they don't realize how strong it is, they're overdosing. They're trying to mix it with different, with different things. So now it's way out of hand. Because people don't know how powerful this stuff is. More powerful than morphine. Morphine has been used for, like I said, for I guess the regular ease of pain for maybe a surgery or even with cancer. But when you're using that stuff on the streets and not knowing the potency of it, they're overdosing. And
well, fentanyl is more powerful than
fentanyl is 100.
30 times.
It's anywhere between 50 to 100 times more powerful than morphine. And then trying to mix it. Now that's what Prince died from. Our icon known as the one known as Prince, from that fentanyl. But that stuff, and you're talking about how powerful it is. Morphine in and of itself is powerful. When you got something that's 50 to 100 times more powerful than that, you're talking about something that's crazy powerful.
Well, and like I said, there was a piece missing when doctors began prescribing out, this medication, which was the lack of education, understanding that, for example, watch another documentary where a mother talked about her son dying because he wasn't feeling the effects of his medication right away, so he took more. And so it's like, you have to understand that a lot of these medications are time released, Tramadol for one, I think they have two where it's a 6 hour, it can, the shelf life of it is about six hours within your body. Then there's another one that's 24 hours. So it's being time released throughout that whole 24-hour process. And if you aren't feeling the effects of it right away, not realizing that medicine is time released, it's slowly extending out doses, and you're going to do what? You're going to take more because you're going to say it's not working. And he ended up, in this particular case, this individual ended up overdosing. And that's how a lot of them with the prescription pills overdose, by taking, too much, not realizing that, especially for those individuals who were just taking it for pain, and then it began to abuse it. So I have this chronic pain condition. I get prescribed medication. I'm taking it for a little while. I happen to take it one day. The effects are not happening as quick as I need for them to happen. Let me pop 2 or 3 more, failing to realize that, your body is starting to get adjusted to it now, and it's also extending its time release. And so you take more, and you end up overdosing. And so oftentimes the other gap that was missing when we started, prescribing these prescription pills and whatnot, is the lack of follow-up on the doctor's part. I'm watching a documentary where in certain situations there was little to no follow-up at all once they were being prescribed certain medications, as to whether they were having, whether they were getting addicted to this, or whether they were having any challenges and whatnot. It's just like, the doctors are overwhelmed, so it's like, here you go, on to the next. So we have to, in my opinion, I think we have to start slowing down and really, really looking at what we're doing here. And is it working? And then again, this is why we're starting to see more treatment programs like this to integrate holistic health, because if what we were doing was working, then we wouldn't be in the problem we're in today. And I think that some doctors are going to the extent of being able to educate their patients on the potential for abuse, because that's how it starts before you get to addiction. It's experimentation, abuse, then addiction. As well as not prescribing those type of medications at all because of the liability that's starting to come along with it now. So
and that it should be. Doctors should be held liable for the prescription, writing that many prescriptions without follow-up, without educating, the person that's actually being prescribed the medication, that without that follow-up, and then I just feel like I feel, and this is my personal feeling, is that doctors and the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies have gotten together and created this monster.
Kickbacks, you know?
I think it's the whole perspective of Western medicine and taking a pill for everything, as opposed to looking to alternative treatment methods that may be just as effective, maybe not from a standardized Western standpoint, but looking at pain management other than just medication.
Right, exactly.
Like acupuncture, things like that, that have been shown to be effective, but don't require the person to be on drugs.
Right.
Those are things that maybe the medical professionals are starting looking at or educating themselves in conjunction with medication.
Right.
So that if you do have a patient who has a high tolerance for drugs, you start incorporating some of those other holistic healing methods so that they don't become addicted.
Right, you're exactly right. I lived in Germany for a year, and that's one of the things that they do. They do integrate a lot of holistic health practices into that. My husband's father had cancer, and after they did chemo and whatnot, during his recovery, he was allowed to get into this treatment program where they did swimming every single day. They did meditation, and it was all paid for. So it was like a recovery-based program for individuals who had cancer. So it wasn't just, okay, you're taking this pill to kind of work through the after the side effects from that, but also you're in this program where they live there, and everything focused on well-being and bringing them back into a balanced life. When I lived there, I had to get surgery done, I had cysts removed, and do you know they did not prescribe me not one opiate, not one. Now it was used obviously for the surgery to knock me out, but the aftercare in terms of the prescription pills that they prescribed, none of it was opiates. It was one that was obviously non-narcotic, and then another one they were like ibuprofen. You take ibuprofen, and I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that they would not give me, any Vicodin, any Percocet, like I was like, what are you making here? And they were like,
how did that affect you? I mean, was it what they gave you effective in your pain management?
Yes, it was. Obviously, being American, and having had, opiates before in my life, of course, it wasn't as, I'll put it like this, the treatment, the recovery was a lot slower than it would have been over here. However, their belief is that it's supposed to be slow because your body needs time to heal. They were like, you've been cut on, so we don't expect you to be going back to work within the next 2 weeks. Your body needs to heal. You need to be laying down. You need to rest. Whereas here, it's like, boom, you're pop that pill because we expect you to be back to work. So it's almost like a domino effect to a certain extent, too. Right. All these things play off of each other.
Healthcare
But
that's too, but insurance.
Right.
That's critical.
Right.
What you just said, they don't expect you to pop right back up to work and or just start back. It's a slow and gradual process, and that's what it should be. That's what it is, because that's what it takes. It takes the body time to heal. So they got it right. We got to get it right here, but this society is so busy trying to make money off of everything. They're pushing. They pushed the envelope way too far.
Right.
And now this is what we got.
Right.
The fallout is this epidemic. So we having to, I guess, to recoup and try it again. But like I said, we need holistic, holistic, I guess, plans for self-care. And we can't necessarily we can't necessarily look to the government or whomever to do that for us. We have to kind of see it ourselves, because they are pushing dollars and cents. This is a capitalistic society. They're pushing, it's a money maker to keep you spending money, in this country. But like I said, in Germany, that's not what they're looking at. They're looking at you healing first, because if you heal slowly, you'll be more productive in your workforce, in your home life, in your personal life. But here they're thinking if we get you back to work fast or whatnot, then you're gonna be productive, but you're really not. You're pushing you too fast and you pill popping to the point of now you're either if you're not overdosing, you're becoming addicted. Because they're pushing it like that, and they, like you said, you have to slow down.
Well, illness is a business here,
Yeah.
you know, and I think it goes back to what you were saying to intervention. We're not invested in intervention because then what would be the need for fentanyl and all these different, you know, outside of, you know, surgeries and different things like that, you know. But so yeah, the illness is a business here. It's a multi-million-dollar business.
Well, the whole healthcare industry, and you know, no offense to doctors,
Right,
and healthcare coverage, but I mean, it's a moneymaker,
Right.
which is why we can't get universal health care.
Right, exactly.
As the longer you keep people sick, paying out for doctors, paying out for medications, as opposed to having universal health care where they're covered regardless of how long they're ill, no matter what the illness is. There's not that financial incentive
That's right.
that it is when you have all these co-pays and things like that. So.
Right, and like you said, I agree. Nothing against the doctors. You know, I respect their profession. I respect what they have, what they've gone to school for, and that they're in the business of helping to treat lives. But I think it's time now. Again, going back to if what we were doing was working, then why are we in the condition that we're in? So it's time for us for doctors to also partner with practitioners, holistic health practititioners, and peer support specialists, and bring together a comprehensive plan about in terms of going about treating patients. So it's not just focused on medicine alone, but it's about how can we all come together? We're not saying that your way isn't working, despite the fact that it's killing a lot of people because of the abuse and the lack of follow up and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like, how can we take this and integrate it with holistic health and realize that we're treating people here. That's one of the things that the program in Colorado focused on. Their motto is people first. I'm not just looking at you as an illness. I'm not just looking at you at someone who has a condition here, but I'm looking at an individual, a person who has a life, who has a story, and who truly at the core of who they are wants to get better and wants to get well.
Can I piggyback on something that
Sure.
Elliot said earlier about it not being a race thing in terms of resources being available for people who have substance abuse and alcohol addictions? It's not necessarily a racial thing, but when you look at how resources are allocated, unfortunately, the powers that be tend to allocate to the people who don't need the resources. The money goes in the communities where it's least needed, and the impoverished communities or the communities that don't really have a large political base or a large political voice tend to get less. And so until this opioid epidemic started touching white suburbia, it wasn't an issue as long as it was just black and brown people who were dying. It didn't gain a whole lot of interest. Now suddenly it's become a nationwide epidemic, and they're starting to allocate these resources towards treatment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go there, but I think it has to be
It's
said.
right. It needed to be, because that's so true. On that note, do you have is there an opioid hotline or something that someone can call, or any, is there a holistic facility, that hotline for Colorado, if anyone needs that? Because like I said, it is an epidemic out here, and people do need to realize for themselves that they need help if they are addicted or abusing painkillers. If you bound them off the street, that means something's wrong with you. So you still need to get help. You need to get treatment, because whether you recognize it as abuse or addiction, that's what it is. And there are a lot of people that's selling prescription medications now. Whether they're stealing them out of their parents or families' cabinets, going out in the street selling them, that's what's being done. And whoever's bound and using them is sick and need treatment. So if there are, if there's a number or facility that they can get in touch with, feel free to do that. And we're gonna wrap up. We at this point, and there will be other conversations about this going forward. But today, we gotta wrap it up here, and I appreciate you all.
The North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition, it's a grassroots advocacy organization. They do lobbying, they also do community education about substance abuse. And their number is 919. I'm sorry. The address is 2416 Hillsborough Street in Raleigh, and their web address is www.nchrc.org. You can go online, you can connect with them about what's available, what resources are available in the community within North Carolina. They can put you in touch with treatment facilities, or if you're interested in finding out how to get Narcan kits and things like that, they can get you with that.
And I will piggyback off of that one as well, because since this is for North Carolina, but I will be in the process of doing more research for holistic health programs here in North Carolina as well. I know that's something that we're hoping that part of that 31 million is going to go to, treatment programs that focus on integrating holistic health. And in the meantime, obviously what Elliot said earlier, NC hopes is they have the peer support program, which actually does focus on wellness in terms of mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual.
All right, and myself and some other programs that I'm aware of, and I won't mention them today, but when we have a follow-up panel discussion about that, what they will be doing in North Carolina, one of the things that we're going to be doing real soon is going on the college campuses to, like you said before, working on the prevention side of it. So we'll be, right now they're still doing focus groups, and we'll be, I think, doing a pilot group with that, but we'll be going on the college campuses implementing, not that, but they already implement some programs and some models that we have seen that have worked throughout the nation on some of the bigger campuses that's working. So we're going to try to implement some of those here and on some of the North Carolina campuses. And I'll talk more about that during the next episode of this conversation. But listen, we got to wrap it up, and I want to thank you all for being here today, and hopefully we'll be able to get together again and have a follow-up conversation. I appreciate the Facebook Live group for tuning in. Also, we have we have a healing a segment that's coming up in probably I won't say late September, it'll probably be early October. And I definitely want y'all to at the table when we're talking about healing that hole in the soul. That's my passion. So that's what we got to get back to. Then when we're talking about that, we're going from addiction to every hole in the soul or wound that we're gonna be focused on some of the alternative and some holistic methods to healing that process, which is a big deal. We'll talk about that more. So I want to thank you all, and we're going to tune out. We'll be back next Saturday.
Thank you, Terrence.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.